Hey, this is part 2B of our podcast episode with Ben Knegendorf on drop shipping. I love how we get into not only drop shipping, but conversations on marriage, on life, on working as an entrepreneur in the modern day society. So I hope y'all enjoy it. I'll speak to y'all soon. Peace. Incognito mode, because a lot of times Google will put specific terms in front of you that you've already searched for, so just be mindful of that as well if you're doing keyword research. Now I want to get into drop shipping. Now let's get into the high ticket drop shipping, Ben.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
what's up?
By the way, I was gonna ask him, like, what was that business you did? Like, what did you sell that got you to like where you were going? Like with the
Yeah, man, I've sold a few different things, right? So the very first business that I did was the 3dprinterguy.com. I sold that for 1 year's pay at the Walmart distribution center, which was like the greatest day of my life. The person who bought that ran into the ground. So if you want to see that, you'll have to go to Wayback Machine and look at the 3dprinterguy.com. From there, I built pelletgrillpros.com. I've sold that as well. Somebody's still running that one today. I had a buddy. We were supposed to get on like a mastermind call. There was like 4 of us who interacted in the forums. Only 2 of us showed up, me and another guy. And on every call I get on with somebody, I'm going to give you about 100 ideas for your business. That's just how my brain works. And so I gave him 100 ideas. And by the end of the call, he was like, how about I just give you half the business and we'll go do all that shit? And he was making like $2,000 a month selling composting toilets, and we flipped it over. He brought me in. He literally gave me half. We turned it into shoptinyhouses.com, selling everything in the tiny house rather than just the composting toilet. And we scaled that, and that's the one that got me out of debt. He bought me out of that business. I told my wife, hey, we're out of debt. And a couple days later, she asked for a divorce. So, the highs and the lows there. And then beyond that, the big one, I'm still under NDA, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But that was me doing some consulting, just sharing my story on a podcast, brought some people in who were like, hey, can I buy some of your time? These 2 gentlemen were in Wisconsin, so we shared kind of a little Wisconsin love, right? And so I coached them to $250,000 in their first 3 months. They did $1 million in their first year, and then they offered me a piece of the company to come in and scale them. And that's when we went $1 million to $11 million 2 years later, and then they bought me back out, and that was a nice little 7-figure victory for me. So I've kind of been all over the place. I've been partners on some businesses. I've done a lot of things in what feels like forever, but I guess it was only 7 years, and I've kind of been all over the place, man. You can sell anything and make it work for sure.
Let's talk about tiny homes for a second, because I think that was a really interesting segment of your business, portfolio. Walk us through going from composting to the entire niche of tiny homes. I feel like that was a really interesting play.
Yeah, so I just look, you can sell one product. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, you can have a super niche store and sell just one product. But what are the odds someone's going to come buy a composting toilet from you twice? Like, not good, right? So then your only arbitrage is, can I go acquire that customer for less than I make in profit, right? And then, you're also going to have to factor in returns and your own time and perhaps some labor as well. And so I was, how else can you sell this same person more things? So oftentimes when you hear dropshipping or any business, everyone's talking products. How do I find the right product? How do I find the right niche? And for me, it's about people, right? Yeah,
the
but
winning
it's about
product.
people. Like, there's someone behind the screen buying from you. There's someone behind the screen clicking on your ad. And so what is that person, when they're coming there looking for a composting toilet, what else are they looking for? And so I just pitched the idea of, like, I asked him, who's buying from you, right? And it was a lot of folks living in the boonies and wanted to be off the grid. And I was like, I don't know if we want to serve that type of person. And he told me a lot of people building tiny houses. And I was like, why don't we just sell them everything else that goes in there? And so, yeah, we bought the domain shoptinyhouses.com. We went and paid a lot of money for this amazing image for our homepage. I have no idea why we thought that was a good idea. That's not you don't need to do that. And then we just started calling other suppliers and getting them on board, uploading those products, turning on the ads, interlinking things on the website to start helping out with SEO and building some email sequences. So if they bought one thing, hey, did you know we sell this and this and this? And just really asking our customers, what else are you buying for your tiny home? And then we would go find those vendors, those brands, and get them up on our website.
I think there's like a really big gem there, low key. Like, a lot of us think, hey, if I start selling this one product, that can be the thing. But you quickly expanded and realize that the niche has a strong need to have a holistic service for it. right? So the composting toilet was one part of it, but the entire niche that you wanted to focus on had so many different elements to it. So what else were you selling in this tiny home store? Were you selling actual tiny homes, like, and you had to like connect people to a developer? Like, what was like? Give us some things. 'Cause I think it's a really interesting play that you did with that.
Yeah, so I mean, you can go to
Yeah.
shoptinyhouses.com and check it out, right? All the products that are on there likely came from us, and I'm sure he's expanded since then. But we focused on what else would you need in there, right? So you need a special type of stove and a special type of microwave in order to fit in the tiny house. It's not going to be your normal size stuff. Perhaps you need some solar charging or backup batteries, or I struggle to even remember. This is early 2017. But I imagine, and I might just go to the website right now because I forgot. But just really thinking through what else do people need, and not again, I sell high ticket for a reason, because selling $1,010 items or selling $100,000 items, which one sounds better, right? Like a lot less overhead, a lot less time, a lot more profit margin, a lot less returns, things like that. So we're thinking high ticket. I want to, 1 to 5,000 is like the ideal area for me, but I'm not thinking 20 or 30 or 40. This is where you're going to run into payment processor issues with Shopify and them holding money and making sure you're delivering. And so, yeah, we weren't about to start selling tiny houses or things like that, but certainly everything that went in them.
No, go ahead.
And like, yeah, I'm very curious. Like what the average drop shipper, like they're thinking about. Like, we know how to access the list of products and where to buy them, but to set up a store like this, let's say you have like an idea similar to Shop Tiny Houses, you're serving a niche like this. How do you build those relationships to get these brands to give you like a discount on the items for you to drop ship them? Like, what's the unit economics look like when you go away from like what we know what drop shipping is? Like, what's the process like to set some like a business such as
Shop so when you say
Houses?
What we know, are you speaking of like, I found a hot product, I'm going to AliExpress kind of thing?
Yeah, hot product, AliExpress. You buy like a couple like samples just for social media marketing, and then you start like selling those to like customers. But you're thinking bigger here. You're thinking like the niche here, like serving tiny houses. No one, like the average dropshipper, is definitely not thinking about this. So walk us through that process of setting up a business where you're selling a high ticket item. What's the unit economics behind that? And like, what's the process for the approval for you to become like a licensed retailer carrying their product?
I can tell website. Just by talking to you that you're overthinking this for sure, right? Like, you think it's easy to hop on AliExpress and find a product, but somehow getting these on board is going to be more difficult. I promise you it's not, right? So all I want to do is shift your thinking. When you're going to AliExpress, you're selling non-branded things. You have to create some sort of brand or like presence here in order to sell this stuff. Mm-hmm. When you're a high ticket drop, you're essentially like, I would call this like high ticket retail e-commerce. You are an REI, you're a Walmart, you're a Target, right? We're selling other people's brands, and they need people like us, right? Like they're very good at making what they make, and they're not very good at being marketers and selling this shit. And so they need people to sell this. That's why retail stores exist, and we are now just an online presence of a retail store, and usually more niche down, so you're talking to one person rather than trying to talk to everybody. So I'll use another site I ran, Pellet Grill Pros, for this example, right? So the brands that are on there currently, I got all those on boards: Cook Shack, Green Mountain Grills, Louisiana Grills, Memphis, Pit Boss. If you're into grilling whatsoever, you've heard of some of these names. These are the big brands in the space, right? And so I would simply go to Google, type in Green Mountain Grills, and I'll do it with you in real time just so we can make sure I'm not sounding like a...
All right. As you Google it up, what's on your grill, man? Talk to me. You grilling? I know you like Joe Rogan, so you making elk? Talk to me, man.
How do you know I like? Just because I'm a middle-aged white dude,
moose.
like, he must like Joe Rogan. Is that?
Hell nah, bro. We saw that you were selling drop shipping products from Joe Rogan. We doing our research, man.
Oh man, that's funny. All right, so on my grill, the big thing, and my family makes me cook this every Easter. It's kind of become our Easter thing. It's just a pork butt. I marinate the butt in salt, brown sugar, and apple juice for 24 hours, and then I pull it out and rub it in the salt and brown sugar, and then I throw it on the pellet grill for like 20 hours and pull it out, put it in tin foil, wrap it in towels, put it in a cooler for like another 6 hours, and when you pull it out, it's hot as hell, and it just melts. Just you open it up and it just melts apart. It's delicious, man. Probably really not good for you, but man, is it good.
I was thinking that it sounds like a delicious heart attack.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, so
You know what I'm saying?
I went to greenmountaingrills.com, right? So I want to get these guys on board. In the upper right hand corner, it says dealers. That caught my eye right away. I'm just going to click on dealers and see what happens.
Right.
Looks like this brings me to find a dealer near you. That's not what I'm looking for. All right, I'm going to scroll down to the footer. Dealer resources, perhaps. Some of these brands that you're reaching out to are going to say become a dealer. Side note, they might not be the best brand. Like if they're just signing everyone up, maybe they're not going to be the best brand for you. Maybe they are. I don't really know how to judge that, but in my experience, sometimes they're not great. This one doesn't really sell or doesn't really tell me anything as far as to sign up. So I'm literally just going to go to contact us, which gives me a phone number, hopefully. Sure. Gives me 800-603-3398. I'm going to call them and say, hey, my name is Ben. I'm the owner of pelletgrillpros.com. We're looking to expand our product line at this time, and we're wondering what does it look like for us to become a retailer for your brand. You're going to get one of three responses. Number one, you're going to get the blocker. Usually use a different word. I don't know how PG friendly this show is, but the blocker. And they just tell you no. We don't deal with dropshippers, and they're trying to tell you to fuck off, right? They want you out of here. They want to weed out Joe Bag of Donuts who heard about drop shipping and is trying to flip this stuff on eBay or Amazon. That's not what they want. They want somebody who's going to try to build a real brand and represent them well, right? And so if you get that response, you got to kind of work your way around it and say, hey, I imagine you get a ton of these calls. We're not trying to sell this stuff on Amazon or eBay. We're trying to sell it on our own website. We don't sell on third-party websites, blah, 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 blah. Usually that'll get you past the guard. Second answer will be this person's not available. And again, that's just them trying to shove you off. Or better yet, the third answer is just they'll be like, oh, that's Bill. Let me transfer you over to him right now. Bill will answer, and he does this every day. He's also the guy who gets 100 calls a day from the people who saw some TikTok guy talking about drop shipping. And so you do have to immediately let him know that, hey, I'm trying to build a real business here, or we've been around for X amount of time, or whatever you're comfortable saying. I prefer to tell the truth. From the very beginning, I told people, hey, I'm just getting started. Here's what I'm trying to build. Here's the vision I have for this business. And you guys fit right in that vision. We'd love to carry you guys. We'd love to have an opportunity to sell your products. And honestly, that's usually as simple as it is. And they're like, great, we'll send over the dealer information to you. And they send over a packet where you kind of fill out, here's who we are, right? Whether you're an LLC or whether you're a sole proprietor, just fill it out. They're going to ask for a credit card to keep on file so that when you have an order that they can charge a credit card. And that's about as simple as it is. And you're set up. And as far as economics go, man, I've seen everything. So I at one point I sold pitching machines, and the margins were like 5 or 6% on those. Brutal business to be in. And I've worked with some of our students who have 50, 60, 65% margins, which is like the holy grail. I recently stumbled on a product that I don't know anyone selling, and maybe I'll tell you after the show. Maybe you guys can start with this, but it's small. It definitely ships UPS, and it's got 60% margins, and it almost sounds too good to be true, but that one sounds exciting to me. So it's kind of runs the gamut. I would say your average margin on these products is 25, 30%. And then from there, you have to decide, is Green Mountain Grills handling shipping? Am I handling shipping? Are we shipping on their account? Is that coming out of my profit margin? Like, the more numbers you can get ahead of time, you can kind of know where you're going to be at here and understand, here's what I might be able to pay to acquire a customer in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. So how do you manage logistics with something like this? Because if you're handling different suppliers, like for instance, with Shop Tiny Homes, how do you handle logistics? How, like, if something sells out, do you have an automated process that pulls out and says, oh, sold out there? Like, how do you do that with high ticket products like that?
Yeah, this is one of the somewhat downsides, I would say, right? So you're not going to build out an EDI connection to your vendors. Most of them don't have it either, right? And so they're going to, a lot of times you'll find out they're out of stock because, let's just use Green Mountain Grills. I don't even know what they call it. Davy Crockett, I think, is what I sold a ton of this brand. All of a sudden you'll get like one day where you're like, I sold 4 Davy Crockett's today. You'll wake up to 4 sales, 4 Shopify notifications. You'll be like, this is going to be a good day. And then you call Green Mountain and they're like, oh yeah, we've been out of stock for 2 weeks. And they told everybody else, or somehow they found out and they pulled down their ads. And so you're the only ad left up there and everybody thinks you're in stock. And then you have to, convince them to wait or refund them. That's usually how the out of stock process goes. Nowadays, with the supply chains that we're running into, I would say most suppliers are very on top of, hey, here's what we got, here's what we're looking at. A lot of the things I've been selling recently, they've got 3, 6, 9 month lead times because that's just how long shit's taking to get over here right now. And so, I think customers are starting to get a little bit used to it, but it does take some commitment. You have to call your customer and let them know, hey, there's a wait list here. You're at the front. when we get stock, you're the first person to get it. We'd love for you to wait, kind of thing. But yeah, it's a manual process for sure as far as marking things in and out of stock. And usually if somebody's got their eye on one pellet grill, they've looked at others, but they want this one, right? And so they're not going to have you say, let me transition you to this one. Maybe they will. Maybe you can make some sales, but likely they've got their heart set on one and they're going to go try to find it.
Yeah, people lock in and think this is mine, right?
Yeah.
That's how it kind of goes. So it's a bit tougher to try and transition them to a new product. It's interesting, man. So one thing you said that was very interesting is they put a credit card on file. So a lot of times you're buying it yourself. So you buy it from the store, then the credit card goes into you basically. So you're liable if they can't fulfill it, essentially. Like, walk us through that process. So once someone buys something, it goes into your credit card, and until it ships out, then they pay you back?
Yeah, so when you take an order on Shopify, right, it's going to pay out in 2 days, 3 days, depending on whatever plan you're on there. And so the credit card is just to float that, as well as, like, this game has got me so into credit card points, it's silly. Like, when, like, all of your ad spend should go on an Amex Gold card where you're getting 4x on your first 150, and they'll give you even more gold cards after that, right? I've flown first class for the last 6 years. I'm never going back. I've never paid for a ticket. So points are great. And then on the other side, when you buy your product like this, so somebody paid me $2,000 for the grill, Shopify is going to deposit whatever, $19.70 or something like that. I'm going to give, they have my credit card on file. I'm going to use the Capital One 2% card, so I get 2% back on that purchase as well. And I just have to float it there, right? 3 days later, when the money's in my bank account, I can pay off the credit card, which you should. Don't carry it and don't get interest, kind of thing. And that's as simple as it is. Like, you only have to float it for a few days, and we literally just did a podcast on this. So if you don't have a credit card, I can't go get a credit card, I don't have money, wait the 2 days. Call Green Mountain Grills and say, I've got an order for you. I'm waiting on the cash to come in. You can run my card in 2 days. I just want to give you a heads up so that you get this order ready to go. And 2 days from now, it'll go out the door right away. They're usually pretty kind about that. And hopefully over time, you can either bank up some cash so that you can float this, or start paying off your debt so your credit gets better, and you can go get one of these amazing credit cards that are afforded to us here in the U.S.
Man, honestly, it's one thing I'm jealous of. The U.S. credit card game is different. Yep. It's different.
They're playing a different ball game, bro.
It's different. Canada doesn't do points like the U.S. does, man. Like we have the Amex now, but the Amex doesn't. The Canadian Amex doesn't compare to the points that the U.S. Amex does, man. That's one thing that I get cheesed at when it comes to.
Bruh, we've had that card for a year and a half now, and we've only accumulated like 4,000 points.
Brutal.
4,000 only, because it's only on the transactions we do on Shopify, like all the subscriptions we have. It's just so slow accumulating points on like the Amex the business card. It's like a starter card.
So certainly in America, I want to get into the gold is sweet, because you're spending ad money constantly, right? Your Google bill's only going to go up and go up and go up, and then on the backside of that, you have to buy your product, right? So $10, $20, $100,000. Like, if you spend $100,000 on product that month, you're getting $2,000 back from your Capital One, and you probably spent quite a bit of money to acquire that, and you're getting 4x points on that. It really racks up over time. And Justin Cook from EmpireFlippers.com, I met him at a conference once, and he said he knows people buying these businesses that don't make a profit. They just break even because they want all of these the points to add up for their love of travel, which is crazy.
That's crazy. That's a next level type of commitment, to be like, I'm gonna buy a business just to get point. Yo, you gotta be committed
just to get the points.
Like, most definitely. All right, so I want to get to other points that I found interesting in your journey, man. So when it comes to dropshipping, what are some pitfalls you see a lot of people do? Because you help people. You've done a lot of coaching as well with dropshipping. So what are some common mistakes you see people make?
Yeah, I mean, the very first one is they try to pick a product and rather than focus on a human, right? And so you can think of a product for sure, and that might get you started, but if you don't focus on the person behind there, you're just setting yourself up to fail. And we focus 1,000 to 5,000. That's hard for people to even fathom. If you weren't raised in a household where you spend that kind of money, or you're not around people that do, it's hard to get yourself to believe that is spent freely. And just to give you an example of the business, the one that I exited recently, our average sale was $7,000, and it all happened on mobile, right? And so if you're serving the right person, they're more than happy to just spend this money on something they really, really want. So that I would say that's the first thing. Just make sure you're like you've done your research, right? You didn't pick a product or a niche in which there's hundreds and hundreds of sellers. Like you're not going to be able to stand out, right? So I would encourage you to go deeper. Most people I talk to, they come up with the same 100 products because they saw some guru touting the 100 products. Like they just downloaded the same list and they all have the same ideas. And you really got to go outside of the box here and try to think of something outside of the box. Beyond that, it's maybe it's I'm working with a lot of Owens. They get in Google and they don't get it. Like they just don't get it. And for me, that's something that really came easy to me. And so when I try to,
I didn't even see that coming. You can't do Owen like Owen would have got it.
But
I mean, I learned things pretty quick.
I'm sure
you know what I'm saying, Ben? So I'd pick it up.
It just seemed like an obvious choice of words there. All right, so.
It's like I'm a novice. Yeah. That's what you call like a Google novice, an Owen.
Look, the priority funnel for shopping is so important for this. Like I can't state that enough. You have to understand how that works and how the keywords flow. And if you just get that right, that's going to work. But unfortunately, it's confusing for a lot of people. And so literally I've dedicated multiple podcasts to just trying to explain this because to me it seems very simple, but when I try to teach it to somebody, you end up getting glossy-eyed look. So that's usually the second part. And then after that, like how bad do you want this? I think there's too many people that like they hear a business idea or they see some ad or some TikTok or something where the guy made a bunch of money and they're like, they just assume they're going to not have to do a whole lot of work and they're going to make this work. Business is fucking hard, man. You got to hustle. You have to do the work. You have to, I remember in the beginning when I had the 3D printer guy store and I was working at Walmart DC, I was answering the phone, right? So I'm working 3 to 1. If a call came in at 4 o'clock, I'd get the notification on my phone in the back of the building. I'd drive my forklift all the way to the front, walk out the front door and call that customer back and say, hey, our systems are down right now, but if you're seeing the website, I can walk you through this purchase, right? You got to hustle. You got to do everything you can to answer your phone, answer your emails, answer your chats, and make every sale matter so that you can scale and do the hard work and put in the time. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. People just aren't willing to do the work it takes to be successful.
That's real.
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges that you had, running a business and building it up? What were matter of fact, I want to ask this. Where were some of the moments of clarity that came to you that you realized, oh, all I got to do is this. And it felt like you had bridged the gap between where you were and where you think you're going to go.
Yeah, I'm going to go off the wall here and tell you something you're probably not expecting to hear. So it had nothing to do with me like learning a tactic in business or learning how to do Google Ads better. The biggest breakthroughs I've had in my entrepreneurial journey were in between my ears. And that's the truth. Like there is no better self-help plan than starting your own business. It's your bullshit is going to boil up over and over and over again. And you can either choose to address it or you can quit and run back to safety, I'm air quoting here, of a job, right? And so for me, there was a lot of I'm not worthy, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, fear of failure, heck, even fear of success. What does it mean if I become successful? What does that mean for my relationships with my family and my friends? And so there was all these internal battles going on, let alone through working with Elliot Rowe, one of the best hypnotherapists in the world. And I know hypno gets a bad rep sometimes. It's not the guy on stage. It's just more like guided meditation. He was able to bring me back to some childhood memories. Like we form our entire reality between the ages of 4 and 7. That's insane to me. That's you live in the box you created between 4 and 7. And so he would take me back to moments of like, one of them was, my dad would come home from work from his factory and just be a fucking ornery bastard every time he came home. And he brought me back to a memory of like tugging on my dad's leg, cause he came home and I must've been really young. And my dad's leave me alone, just like grumpy as all hell. Right. And so I never asked for help. Every time I needed something, I would just go figure it out on my own, and it would take forever to figure it out rather than just go find a mentor or ask someone for help. That was a real burden for me. One of the first memories he brought me back to was someone asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I have no idea what I even answered, but I remember my grandma, I can see it in my eye, my mind's eye. She's like, we're poor, we're Knegendorf, so you'll never be anything, right? And so I just believe that. I just believe we'll never be anything, and I'll never get to, achieve some of the things I wanted to achieve. And so all that shit boils up in your business and addressing that, right? And I didn't go after this. I paid $25,000 to be in a mastermind. And the very first thing we showed up, the first thing we did was like write out our stinky fish. Like, what's something that you can see in yourself that you want to leave in this room when you leave here? And I was like, oh, this is kind of lame. I wanted to learn marketing. And then for 2 days, we just bawled our eyes out about stuff. And I was like, it's not what I wanted to go do, but it's what I needed to do. And that introduced me to Elliot, which brought me down further past. And it caused me to address some of the things that I think we all have inside of us one way or another. I don't know what it is for you, whether it's fear of failure, fear of success. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't deserve this. I need help. I can't do this alone. Whatever it is, like whatever comes up for you, you got to address that. And as soon as you can start clearing out those blocks and those you're putting up roadblocks on yourself. And if you can get self-aware enough to see that bullshit, address it through whatever modality you feel comfortable doing. Heck, people do all kinds of weird stuff, mushrooms or hypnotherapy, all kinds of weird stuff, right? Whatever that is, you got to address that stuff, and you have to, get it out of your way, resolve it inside of you. Otherwise, you're subconsciously going to block yourself from going to where you really want to go.
And what age were you doing this?
So this was just a few years ago. I want to say 2018 I joined that mastermind, and it was the first event. And then from there, you can look at ElliotRowe.com. Dude's literally world class, works with like the best poker players in the world, best entrepreneurs in the world. Just go look at his testimonial page. And for some reason he picked me out of the room, me and another dude named Kayvon. Shout out to Kayvon, Kayvon.com. He's incredible. And I don't know what he saw in us, but both of us were like, we had a chip on our shoulders, right? We wanted to prove a lot of people wrong, and he really singled us out of the room, brought me to the back, and was just like, we had a good conversation about some of the MMA fighters he's worked with and some of the poker players he's worked with. And he was like, how would you like to come to one of my events for free? And that's just where it started. I went to his event and, sat on his hot seat where the whole room called me on my bullshit that I was trying to, not show anybody. They all saw it, and, it was a good time. And ever since then, I've just gone deeper and deeper and deeper and trying to solve this stuff. So it's only been the last few years, but it's been easily the biggest breakthroughs for me, easily.
Hold on. What? So they brought you into a room and sat you down and called you on your bullshit? You go through a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go through a lot, man. I'm trying to catch everything because I want to give the audience the most value. But I think something a lot. When you're saying about calling yourself out on the bullshit is really real, and dealing with whatever childhood trauma you went through is super real. But what was happening at this event? Because it sounded very interesting. So they sat you down in a room. How many people were in this room?
Yeah, literally nothing. I've never done anything like this in my life to this day still, and I still go to his events. I pay him a lot of money to be there because they're incredible. So I got there. There's, 20, 25 people in a mansion in the south end of Salt Lake City overlooking the whole city. Kind of cool setting. I was pretty scared. I didn't stay. Everyone stayed at the house except me. That's not my thing. So I came over at like 7 a.m. from the hotel. And I walk in. I see two people I knew, which like instantly brought me more comfort. Right, I felt better. Sit down. We kind of do an exercise of like, I don't even know, like just kind of going deeper into what our issues might be. Doing some self-awareness. And when I say issues, we're not talking business. Like a lot of people want to talk business there, but the reality, again, your own bullshit boils up. So. Then we started doing hot seats, right? And so everyone has an hour up on the hot seat. And the beauty is a lot of them are working with Elliot. And so he knows their shit, whether they want to bring it out or not, right? And so they'll start talking about business or whatever's bogging them, or maybe their relationship or something like that. But they won't show you the real stuff, right? Like if I asked you what's some shit really going down in your life right now, Alex, you're not going to tell me, right? But you might tell some of it in this room. And then the rest of the room's going to see you holding back from some stuff, and they're going to ask you questions. And so it's like 20 minutes of you talking, and then Elliot's kind of like, yeah, well, here's his real shit. And then 40 minutes of the room just like giving you advice and offering you perspective and really calling you out on what they see. And it's powerful, man. It's humbling, but it's powerful at the same time. And really, I learned less on that 1 hour seat than I did watching 20 other people who I had put up on pedestals, right? Some of the best, literally the best poker players in the world, the best MMA fighters in the world, a room I didn't feel I belonged in. But these people have the same fucking problems I do. Like I watched some guy who's literally the best in the fucking world at what he does, literally. And he's like, I kind of want to create a course, but who am I to create a course? And I went, what the fuck? We all have this? Like we all have imposter syndrome? This dude's the best in the world, and he's scared to create a course. And so I was like, all right, I'm in the right room, number one. And number two, like I have to address this stuff because I have all of this stuff and it's holding me back from being who I truly think I can be.
Yeah.
Damn. I want to ask you about like at an older age. But how old are you?
Almost 30.
At 2018.
Yeah.
37.
34, 33, somewhere around there.
So like you've gone like a majority of your adult life, and you're setting your ways and your behaviors, right? Like you're molded in your way of thinking. It's repetitive. Like at that age, that's who you are at that point, like in your way of habits. How long did it take you to like flip your habits to this new Ben that was like abundant, had like a massive amount of confidence? Like walk us through that journey, because to say, oh, mindset shift, it doesn't happen like 24 hours after like a meeting with this guy. Like, what was that point to get to that point? Like, okay, I'm this guy now instead of
Yeah,
like
look,
the old man.
I won't say it started in that room. It started when I took the first step, right? It's when I took action for the first time. It's when I started this journey that things started changing. I'm sure there's people listening who want to hear that it happens overnight and I can just go do this one thing and it happens. That's not how it works, right? So from January 11th, 2015, when I bought that course and I started working through this, that's when it started. When I made a decision, it's as simple as that. I made a decision to do this and I started, right? And over time, as you start having little success here, and plenty of failures, you start gathering evidence, right? So how do I explain that? Like, likely you have a voice in your head that either tells you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you can't do this, or something like that, right? It's not saying those exact words, but it's telling you, you know what it is if you're listening to this. All I want you to do from now on is say, is that true? Right after it said, whatever your brain is telling you or whatever emotion it gives you, used to happen to me a lot when I was stoned, like a lot. I'd get really paranoid and I'd get worried about stuff, and just start asking yourself, is that true? And immediately your brain will start populating evidence to prove you wrong, right? So this took 7 years of me providing evidence and I still didn't see it, right? It took a long time. Like, whatever you're really good at, whatever you're really good at, if you go try to teach somebody that, they're going to look at you funny, right? Like, they're gonna be like, what? And it's so easy for you. That's your zone of genius. And you probably, if you accept it now, you didn't for a long time, or you don't currently, right? Whatever that is for everyone listening to this, like, they have a zone of genius, and if they sat in a room and talked about their zone of genius, the room would be dumbfounded, right? But right now you just think everyone has whatever you have. They don't, right? Everyone has something special. And so it took me a very long time to start providing the evidence, start, racking up wins for me to build some confidence, for me to say, holy shit, I do belong, right? I belong in that room that I was discussing, but I belong out here teaching this stuff too. I literally am one of the best in the world at what I've done. Why shouldn't I be out here teaching it? And why shouldn't I have all the confidence in the world to believe anyone can do this if they put their mind to it? And so, man, I wish there was a moment. I wish there was one moment, Owen, that I could tell you, but there's not. It's just a plethora of moments that have built upon themselves.
It sounds like in order to do that, it's more like a bridge of incidents,
But you got to start. I think that's the biggest problem. I don't know your audience, but a lot of the podcasts I get on, or even a lot of people listening to my podcast, they haven't started. They have idea porn, or they have if they think about doing it, that's enough. Or oh my God, we have so many people that buy our course and never fucking log in. That blows my mind. They'll pay for our course and never log in because they've taken that action and that's it, right? And that's the beginning. That you made one decision. Now get to work. Start doing things. Fail. You're going to learn a lot in the process, and you might not make a whole bunch of money in the first place, but you're going to learn an absolute ton, right? And so, yeah, I would just encourage anybody who's at that beginning to just keep going. If you've already started, keep going, and if you haven't started, take your first step today.
I have trouble with this because the people that haven't started and expect to see success, man, honestly, I'm like, yo, if you haven't started and you're just starting now, there's a high chance you're going to fail, to be real. And one thing that a lot of people don't mention is that there's a big business around creating businesses. It's a big business to help people launch their first business, to get trademarks, to have that first process of, I'm going to do X business. It's a big business in starting, But if you're hesitant to start, you need to realize that you're not just starting on a sprint, you're starting on a marathon. So you need to be prepared to trip and fall and get the fuck back up, And if you're not ready for that, then maybe it's not for you. I want to keep it honest, man, because, the amount of losses, the amount of L's that you take is so hurtful sometimes. You really have to become a glutton for pain in this game, to keep it a buck. If you're not ready to start, you need to confront why you're not ready and then start and never, ever look back, and make that promise to yourself and keep it,
Yeah, it's make it or die trying. That's the motto. It's get rich or die trying. I always say if I'm giving 100% effort, I'm going for that. I made my idea a reality. if I don't touch it, but as long as I was pursuing that with like full like vigor, like every single day, like my mind was thinking about it, I was going to sleep thinking about it, and you know, I passed away one day, and like I did not touch it. As I'm like dying that moment, I'm like, you know what? I gave it my all. I did what I had to do. I went full throttle from the day I decided to become an entrepreneur, even though I didn't touch it, but I'm at peace because I know I gave
Yeah.
A+ effort
Yeah.
each and every time.
Yeah, word. And if it fails, then and if you gave A+ effort and it fails, you can be the big. All right, I put my whole ass into it, both cheeks. You know what I'm saying? And it failed. All right, you know, you can literally like take a step back. All right, I put both cheeks into it. I can take a step back. You know,
But even then, you got to make a commitment forever. Like a lot of people look at this as like whatever it is. We don't have to talk about
It's a
dropshipping.
life
Whatever.
game.
I'm going to go try affiliate marketing, and I'll put up one site, and it didn't rank, and I quit. Like what? Like go put up another site. Go after another keyword. Go after another. Like as soon as you say this is a forever thing, then those L's don't seem like big L's anymore, right? They're just lessons. You learn something from that, and you're going to keep moving forward because your ultimate goal is way out there, right? Every person I work with, I send them a book. It's called Vivid Vision. If you haven't read it, go buy it. It's the shortest book ever. It's like 100 pages by Cameron Herold. Set that vision for yourself. Go see what that looks like. Go 3 years into the future and look what that could look like, and then go build that vision. And if you don't get there, who cares? Like you're playing this game forever. Right? I don't know. I think too many people try one thing and quit, and this doesn't work, and this shit's a scam, and like, no, that's on you. Like, I don't know. Get to it.
so
Ben.
I want to talk about failure for a quick second. So, where do you want to go with it?
Well, it's kind of tied into that, so I'll let you go. I'll let you go into
actually.
it,
So with dropshipping, especially high ticket dropshipping, you know, at times we have to be real too. There's people who have, you know, failed or pivoted. You know, so when is a good time to you know, what is Kevin what's my guy with the parachute pants now? Kevin from Dragon's Den. What did you say? Take it around the corner and shoot it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about, Kevin?
Take it behind the barn.
Take it on the barn and shoot it.
You said Dragon's Den, and I was like, wait. Oh yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
Shark Tank, exactly. Shark Tank in America.
Tank.
You know, take it around the barn and shoot it. You know, is there a point where you should do that in dropshipping? And could you give us any context to that? In your opinion, you know, we could have the roundtable talk as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it, right? So I really tried to start a sporting goods store, and the pitching machines just didn't have the margin. You know, I did the best I could to make it work. I think we were breaking even. I don't think I was losing money. In fact, I think I was making money on some of the other things that went into it, you know, pitching nets, L screens, and football throwing machines and things like that. And so, like, but there wasn't profit there, right? And so you have to take it behind the woodshed and shoot it, as he would say. But don't stop, right? Move on to the next idea and just keep on going. I would say also like pivot if you have to, right? Pivot away from some of the things you're selling and move into other things you're selling. Or yeah, by all means, like the things I would look out for is like low margin. There's just not enough money there to go acquire a customer, or low. If I'm losing money, that's a pretty big sign, right? I would say like define winning. Like we were talking about winning before. If I look back at my first business, I maybe made $100 in my first month. I maybe made $200 in my second month, right? That's what it's going to look like in the beginning. It's not going to just magically be $10,000 a month profit and you're going to be able to quit your job, right? It's going to be hard. You don't have any clout in the industry. Nobody knows who you are. You don't have any reviews on your website because no one's ever purchased from you before. And so, like, if you're ready for that and you're profitable, keep going. If you're losing a lot of money, like, and I don't say a lot, but if you just cannot convert any customers, then you either have a website problem or like you have a niche problem, or perhaps you have a traffic problem if you're doing that wrong. But like, then you have to decide, do I need to pivot from here? Personally, I would probably pivot if I was losing money like that I couldn't afford to lose, right? It's going to like, you're going to have to spend a little bit of money to get going. There's no question about it. You have to in almost every business, whether it's hosting or WordPress or you know, running ads of some sort, like you're going to have to spend a little bit of money to get going. And if it like, don't quit too early, but also don't like keep bleeding yourself dry.
No, most definitely. Speaking of traffic, I want to be selfish for a second. If you're getting a lot of traffic to your page, you know, and getting a lot of add to carts, but no purchases, where do you think the problem could be with that? Because I've seen that with a few of my clients, and I have my own thesis on it, but I'd love to get your opinion.
I think it depends on a few things, right? So first off, and I literally write this in my abandoned cart sequence. So first, I thank you for being there. You chose us out of a million websites, whatever. At the very bottom, I say, if you're just like my wife and you threw this in the cart so that you would remember to come purchase it 2 days from now, like here's a link to come back. So I think a lot of people are window shopping. They're throwing in a cart. I also think like we live in a discount culture. And so there's a lot of people who throw it in a cart, enter their information, and just wait a day or two because they know they're going to get a discount and just go buy that stuff once they get the discount. But, first thing I would look at, I've made mistakes where like you couldn't check out on my website before. I didn't pull it out of the sandbox, or I had a setting wrong. And so like, double check that first, right? If you're a new business, if you're a business that's been going a while, then go look at your cart page. Oftentimes you'll see if you've added PayPal and Affirm or, any of the Afterpay, any of those apps on there, they clutter the shit out of that page, and it doesn't make it easy for someone to purchase. So I would look through your whole funnel and go find the friction and remove as much friction as possible. If I can be on a product page and I can hit buy with Apple Pay without going through any of that bullshit, that's how I want to buy, right? I'm sure Shop Pay is the same. I've never used it, but I would assume it's very similar. Just look for friction. That's what I would say. Like, what's your conversion rate on those abandoned cart emails? Like, is anybody coming back after that, or are they telling you in those emails, hey, you didn't do this, or hey, you charge shipping and I didn't know you charge shipping, or like, are they telling you anything from those abandoned cart emails, or are those just converting like crazy when you're offering them a discount?
So this client, I'm not sure if he has abandoned cart emails, actually. I think he does, but I don't think they're good, so that's something I'll definitely dive into. Look at this. Your eyes lit up. He's like, what? Emails, man. No, for sure. But you know what it is that but on Shopify it's 2 steps though. There's add to cart, and then there's fill information out, and then this thing, right? So so I think what he's getting is a lot of add to carts, and then the drop off happens before you add that information in. So what my thesis is there's not enough information on the page. They're adding to cart because they see it, but then they're like, all right, so where's like the customer reviews, use cases, things of that nature? And my thesis is that maybe they're not getting that. But I like yours as well, is that maybe there's not enough of an abandoned cart sequence as well. And if they're not hitting that, because like I said, there's 3 stages for all of our Shopify listeners. We all know add to cart, then in the initiate checkout phase, then they add information in. If they're not getting to that point, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so 2 things, right? Many themes you can remove that step, right? You can just send them right to checkout. If you think they're only buying one thing, send them right to checkout. If you think they might want to shop around, then that might annoy some people who went to checkout. Now they need to come back and look for the other product they're going to buy. Number 2, the easiest thing is like go to clarity.microsoft.com, throw that pixel on your site, and it's absolutely free. Just watch people on your site. I know it's creepy for anybody who's never used it before, but like go watch what they do. When they go to cart, are they like trying to click on something that's not clickable? Are they not doing anything? Are they immediately going back? Like, see if you can spot something through watching them that'll help you inform you on like what can we test here. And then I would encourage you if it's like a 1 product store, or if it's only a couple product store, throw a review on that cart page. Remove everything else, pull your footer out of it. You can pay a developer to pull your footer out, so all there is the option to go to checkout, and throw a review or 2 on there. Give some UGC, and they were excited on the product page, and now they're not excited on the cart page. What changed, right? One thing that I changed on my site recently that was actually, I saw people hovering over it on Clarity, was it would say shipping is calculated at checkout, even though I offer free shipping. And so I just had to go into my theme languages and find that little line that said, shipping calculated at checkout, and remove that. And then all of a sudden conversions went up because they weren't getting to the cart and going, wait a minute, I thought shipping was free,
That is so real. You know what? I was searching for something. I can't remember what it was, but I was searching for something, and I was looking for the shipping on the product so I could calculate what the total price would be in my head before I even go to the checkout page. And I didn't see that, and I bounced. So that's a big gem. I think a lot of people might slip on that and just have the shipping calculated at checkout, or even have some information on what standard shipping is per product, or what local delivery is versus international shipping is, so people can have some context into what it is. I think that could be a big gem. We're too into
it too, man. We're marketers, so like we have biases out the ass, right? So first off, fuck your biases, and go have your mom, go have your girlfriend, your wife, go have your buddy. Just say, here's what I want you to do on the site, and stand back and watch them go through it. And there's conversion crimes, or there's quite a few businesses out there that'll do this for you, and just watch them navigate your site. You'll learn a ton of like, oh, this seemed obvious to you that they should go here and click this button, but other people are very, very confused. And so, yeah, between clarity.microsoft.com and, asking friends or family or likely older people, watch them navigate your site. You'll learn a ton.
Yeah, I agree. Some more to add on. If you're on Shopify, there's a Lucky Orange, as well as can't remember the other name of it. Lucky Orange is another one,
Hotjar.
and this Google Heat Maps. That's another one. It's Google Heat Maps, and you'll see a range of ways. So working towards wrapping up, we've covered a lot here. I want to ask, I want to talk, get a little personal with you and talk about divorce, because that was a big thing that's happened in your life. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs might have to go through that, because a lot of us, we have our business as babies. And a lot of us cherish our business sometimes over relationships, or even, have fights that spur from being an entrepreneur. So it's a big thing that in our lives. So walk us through what happened in your life, man.
Yeah, I want to be as thoughtful as I can, of course.
Of course.
I mean, just looking at on the real, I went to Kansas City with my brother. I drove down we wanted to see the K, a huge baseball guy. You can't quite see it on camera here, but I've got a scratch out. I want to see every ballpark. That's something I really want to do. I love baseball. So my brother and I drove down to the K, and I came home, and shit was just different. She was unresponsive, and then a couple days later, she was like, I'm going to go stay at a friend's house, and that was like totally unexpected. And I just knew something was off, and I got a notification from Verizon to like, you had used too many texts, which I was like, what? I've never seen this notification. I clicked in there. It was all on her number, and they were all one random number. I threw it in Facebook, and it was some dude's name. And so I just texted her. I'm like, what's up with this dude? She's like, he's a great guy, and I want a divorce. And that was really how it ended right there. And I was, she obviously, hung out with him the weekend I was gone, and saw something in him that she didn't see in me. And I was devastated. Don't get me wrong. Divorce is fucking hard. But like in hindsight, if you look back at all the hard shit in your life, it led to something amazing. I guarantee it, right? Like it's not often that something bad happened and then, it led you astray. Like maybe some of your decisions got bad after that, but usually it led you in the right direction. So I just exited a business. Like I said, I'm going to pay off all the debt. Let's just walk away from this clean. I'll pay off all the debt. I was in between like some of the businesses. Some of them were early. One of them was like I had some other courses on like AdWords and Facebook groups and things like that. So that's not sellable. And so there wasn't really no assets to split up, and I paid off all the debt. I felt like that was the right thing to do rather than split the debt. So I paid off all the debt, and we just kind of went our separate ways. And, the funny part is like, she lives 3 doors down with that same dude now, which is really fucking weird. And I see her walking by all the time. And so like, that's, it's weird, but I'll be dead honest and say, I let it go quickly. Like I literally I let it go. I didn't want to hold any resentment. I didn't want to hold any, like, we're all humans, right? And so her and I made a deal essentially, right? We signed a legally binding contract to be together forever, and she changed her mind. And I like, that's her decision. That's not my decision, right? Like, and so I try to look at her as a human who knows what she was going through, who knows, what stress she was under through, me trying to better myself. Who knows? I have no idea what her situation was. Like, obviously we tried to communicate and it failed at that point, but I gotta go live my life, right? So I don't have any time to hold a grudge or have any vitriol, or I wish her nothing but the best. I learned a ton while being married to her, while being part of her family, and I wish her the best. And of course, wouldn't you know it, I met an amazing woman shortly after that, and we're now married. We have a kid, and so like life tends to work itself out, and life's too short for you to give too much of a shit about something that like that drastic. Like, it sucked. Don't get me wrong, it fucking sucked. I don't wish divorce on anyone. But you're going to come out, everything works out. You're going to come out the other side. Like everything honestly works out.
Nah, beautifully said. Beautifully said, man. What for people that are in that stage right now, what last messages would you give for them?
Are we talking somebody who's considering divorce?
Who's going through it? Yeah, you never know who's listening, man.
Empathy. Right? It's very easy to, this is my shit, this is your shit. Like, it's very easy to fight and be angry about it. And like, you might not be in a relationship anymore, but you're still in a relationship. You're like, it's another human, and you have a relationship there. And like, maybe you have kids that you have to worry about in this whole thing too, right? Thankfully I didn't have that. but empathy. Just try to put yourself in their shoes. Even if you don't agree with the decision they made, like they're a human and they made this decision for some reason. Go try to figure out why. And like, don't feel bad for them because they made this decision. Like truly actually have empathy for them, not sympathy. And I think empathy is the word, man. I just try to be as kind as I can and try to understand that we're all human. We all make mistakes. And, I'm sure she's super happy. You know, I don't talk to her anymore, even though she walks by every day with her dogs. We don't really talk. We wave at each other. I'm sure she's happy. Like, good for her. I'm happy for her, you know? So if you're going through that and you want to make it work still, realize that there's two people at the game. You know, like you both have to make this work. It's not just one person. And so if you want to and they don't, you have to respect that and understand that they're going on their own journey and you're going on yours.
No, that's a fact. We're working towards wrapping up.
Yeah.
Anything you want to ask, man?
No, I mean, we're so deep into wrapping it up. Like it's so irrelevant now, but it's been a pleasure talking to you, Ben, bro. It's been a good one.
Yeah, I don't know where
It's
you're
been
at
a
in
solid
Canada,
one.
but if I'm ever there, I want to hang out. You guys are cool, man. Like seriously, I think we could.
Hell yeah,
we could chop it up sometime for sure.
man. Listen,
Yeah, of course.
if you ever
man,
pull up to Canada, pork butt on me.
Nice. Where are you guys at in Canada?
We're basically downtown, man. We're right in the Toronto downtown area. You know, I would say Etobicoke, but like that's like, you know, you saying the exact town in you know what I'm saying? Like
No, but it's like Toronto or Vancouver. Which one are you in, right? Like that's all there is in Canada, isn't it?
This Montreal.
Right.
That's basically it. And then it's a little bit of Calgary, a little bit of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And this basically, then
Yeah.
it's kind of like. But yeah, man. All right, working towards wrapping up, man. Where can people find you?
Yeah, look, if you're listening to this, you love podcasts, I'd love for you to check out ours. Dropshippodcast.com is where the website is. You can find it on your favorite podcast player, on YouTube, and beyond that, it's all, you know, resources that whatever. You'll find your way there. I'm not here to pitch anything. Like I'm confident if you truly want to do this, you don't need anything above and beyond what I just told you. Go to our podcast. We literally give the whole fucking thing away on our podcast, and that's all you need. So I would encourage you to check it out if you're into that and you want to learn more and see if you vibe with me and my Australian partner, John. Maybe that's not your cup of tea either. So who knows? But like, if you're a podcast guy, that's probably the place I'd direct you to.
I want to say something. I co-sign your podcast, man. I think I listened to it. I really like your rhythm with your co-host. I love his Australian accent. I really like the way you guys dive deep into topics. It's short, it's sweet, it's punchy. You know, so I really like it. So I highly suggest you guys check out a few episodes. Make sure you rate it, you know, because that makes a big difference. Make sure you rate ours too, you know, because that makes a difference too. Make sure you rate our podcast, bro, on Spotify, on Apple. Make sure you go do that, you know.
Are you guys fans of Billie Jean?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
you were like right there reminded me of where he's always just like, buy my shit. Like, I'm giving you so much value. Buy my shit.
Yo, buy my shit. Yeah, word. Yo, have you heard this podcast where he's on the treadmill, just like breathing heavy as hell, all up in your ear?
I've heard.
Yo,
he wasn't on the treadmill.
Yo, he's on the treadmill on his podcast, like talking. Another thing, buy my shit. Like it's like, bro, like come on. You talking heavy in my ear? Bro, like, you just want to toss it. You just want to toss your headphones, you know. But yo, working towards wrapping up. Also, is what you can control. So control your grind and control your life. I'm Alex.
I'm Owen Osinde.
I'm Ben. All right.
There you go. And that's Hustle of Everything,
Bang,
y'all.
bang.
Peace.
Peace out.
Thanks for having me on, boys.
Bow.
It was fun, man.
The